the 29th of November, and this is episode 128. How was your weekend? I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I had a great weekend. The weather here was fabulous, and got very out and about. And I'm being brutally honest, I'm racking out a couple of rows now in the old hitchhiker. I got one whole tooth done over the weekend, was the sum total of my knitting, but it was actually it was great. It was great to get out and enjoy the Hawke's Bay sunshine, which is always a very good thing. Thoroughly enjoy it. Let's kick off with Black Friday, shall we? You guys loved Black Friday. It's definitely, I mean, I'll be brutally honest, we didn't have massively high expectations, but we got that all wrong, obviously. So you guys had a wonderful time with Black Friday. You just went absolutely bonkers, to the point that the Christmas shop here is looking pretty fairly raided after all the orders that were put through. So we've got a double team down there today. Damien, I tell you what, Damien's had to have his roller skates on the last couple of days. He has been so busy, and he has got Veronica down there helping him out. So we maybe, instead of sort of overnight, which often we can manage, we may be a little slower in getting those deliveries out by a day, 2 at the most, but we should be completely cleared through by Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest. And if you've got to pick up in store, if you're at the early part of Thursday when I announce the code, your pickups, I think they're just starting to filter through now. But if you did order a little later in the day, you may want to give us a buzz and just check and see if it's ready and it's come through. But they definitely should all be out in the shop for collection by Wednesday. That is the plan. So yes, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. So we're going to look at, in fact, so many Knit Pro sets went that we are going to look at doing a bit of a restock on Knit Pro before Christmas. We'll see what more we can get back in for you. So we're going to do that. And I have, of course, as every second Monday, I have just come back from the mill, and it's, oh my gosh, we've still some yarn that it's been on the process for a while. We've actually had it and it's wool-based yarn stock, some incognito, and it's just going through the dye house. And so hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have that in before Christmas. And it is a possum blend, sort of, I think it's a fingering weight yarn, or it might be a sport weight yarn, but it is utterly beautiful. And we've got some more of that coming through. So for summer knitting, that is delish. So there's some still really amazing stuff happening. All our yarns for photography have gone up with a fabulous Steph. So hopefully, so those will chug through. So we will definitely have those for you by December. So there's still plenty of incredible new yarns on the board, Miss Ford, to turn up over the next little bit. So that's super exciting. And the reason that's exciting is because, here we go, finish that row. The reason that's exciting is because Stitchin Summer kicks off from Thursday. Now, for those who are new to Skeinz, the last couple of summers we've run Stitchin Summer across December and January. It's our theme in the speakeasy. Because summer is the time in this part of the world where we love to kick back. So I've dressed all extra summery, got the big white flappy birds out for you to give you all a bit of a fright. But it's fun, isn't it? We enjoy summer. We like kicking back. Often it's when we have a little bit of extra time to chill and enjoy. And I personally love knitting across the summer because it's when I'm not time pressured. I'm generally time pressured all the time, but that time of year is the one time of year that I carve out a bit of time to have a bit of a chill. And everyone else is different. Others are super busy, but for me, it's definitely a chill out time. I'm still trying to decide what my summer knitting project is going to be, and sometimes it's more than one. So I'm still getting there. I'm 2/3 of the way through this. I'll just show you the progress on this. Not that there's much since last time, but I've now got 30 teeth on that. And as you can see, it's progressing nicely. And I think I'm just started the 4th ball. So I think it definitely will be 5 balls, potentially 6 if I do all 42 teeth. So that's, but it's actually been nice to have that pick up, put down, pick up, put down. It's been great. So that's Hitchhiker from Martina Bean. But back to summer knitting. Yes, there is some great summer knitting that can be had. And I'm likely at this stage, I think I want to do the project for my husband, which I've mentioned before, and I'm looking at doing that in Kelly & Co. And many of you picked up Kelly & Co. In that Black Friday sale. Perfect time, because I suddenly just thought first time Kelly & Co. has been on sale. So that's if you pick that up, that's a really great, really great bargain. So Kelly & Co. is fabulous. That's our Donegal tweed. The second half of our order is on the ocean, Bryony, as we speak. At this stage, would you believe it's set to land here, the delivery date, Christmas Day? But, you know, it will be more likely just, with any luck, might come between Christmas and New Year, but it's more likely to be early in the new year, the remainder of that stock. So there's a couple of colours that have been out of stock, so they will be, the balance of those are in that order. So there are still some really fun yarns to come. So what I've gone and done today, I had a little look around at just some things that are fun to knit for summer, and things that you might want to consider for a summer project if you're wanting to do one. And I may even sort of dig out and do another cardigan project or something as a bit of a knit along. I haven't quite decided yet, but sometimes it's always good to have a little of a project, you know, in mind and on the go. So I've talked about a few of the knitted summer tees that work really fantastically well. One that I want to quickly mention, and you can, this pattern is great because you can do it as a summer tee by using lighter weight yarns, but you can also use bulkier weight yarns and actually have it as something that you wear as at another time of year when you need something a bit warmer. So it's a perfect pattern for those of our Northern Hemisphere friends to knit right now, and I can show you a Southern Hemisphere version for right now as well. And that is this little guy here, which is Nuala from Libby Johnson. It's been around a few years now. This pattern was an absolute trooper. It's written for a 12-ply or a bulky yarn, but she's done it. The yarn that she used was a yarn that was a linen blend, so it was actually sort of a lighter, more breathable yarn. So if you've got something like that, or something like a bulky cotton lying around that you've got from elsewhere, this is the sort of project that works really well. Now, this Nuala got done up several times in the roslyn, the Cascade roslyn that we had last year, and that was the perfect yarn for it, because that yarn was also very light, very airy, worked beautifully in this. You got gauge. The way that it's designed with that sort of very loose sort of bat wing type sleeve shaping, it suited sort of having the drape, and it really did look fabulous, and it worked perfect. So if you've got a stash lot of that, like you purchased that during sale, I think we put the last of it out at Epic Sale, but many of you got it this time last year, still haven't done anything with it, and you want to knit from stash this summer, Nuala is absolutely perfect. I've seen this completed in two separate projects, two separate people, and it is fabulous. In fact, one of them loaned it for us for a while, and we had it here in the shop. It's amazing. So that is definitely one to consider if you've got that in stash. Or if you like that style, but you want to actually have it as a warmer jumper and you want to wear it through cooler months, our Southlander Bulky is still on Spotlight for the next few days. So you've got 2 more days to pick that up at $11.95 for a 200 gram ball. So that actually is also an option. And again, I've seen Nuala completed in a heavier, bulkier weight yarn, a woolen yarn, and it looks amazing. It looks beautiful. It looks and it's a beautiful, warm, easy slip over the top of a merino, cozy, warmer weather yarn. So if you're a Southlander bulky lover, Tabitha, I'm thinking of you. This would be perfect for you, Tabitha. Absolutely perfect, because I know you love Southlander bulky. That is another good option as well. I'm going to throw another one at you. This is why we love patterns like this, because the options are endless. You can think outside the square, colour outside the lines. Another option that I think that would make a great summer option for this and will work and may not be something that you would consider is these two together. which is our Pearl Luster and our Whisper Fine. Now, normally you would do these like as we've done in Yume or a number of other patterns, is you would knit these two together and they'd work like a DK, and that would give you a solid cover factor. Now, this has got a 16-inch gauge, and if you were to actually work this to a 16-inch gauge, it would actually give you something that was a little bit floatier and a little bit fuller in how you wear it. Now, that for something in warmer climes is actually not a silly idea. So you could make something like this Nuala in these two yarns, which would be a popover that I'd pop over something like the dress that I'm wearing today when it's a wee bit cooler, whip it off, and it would give you this beautiful light floaty fabric. But here's the thing. Because both of these yarns, this one is a really good, this Surrey Alpaca Merino, so really good twist on it. And then you've got your brushed, which has got a polyamide binder, which literally wraps, it's a wrap yarn, so it wraps all the way around those fibers to hold them in so they don't go anywhere. The beautiful thing about that polyamide is this is where it's actually quite fabulous, is that you combine that polyamide back with the firmer twist of the Pearl Luster, you create your stitches. It actually helps prevent things getting bent too much out of shape. Like, it actually holds the continuity of the garment, particularly when you're dealing with fibres and yarns like this that don't have a super amount of what we call yarn or fibre memory, whereas this has a little bit more because of the fuzz. You know, the fuzz sort of helps hold everything together. The marriage of these two together on that looser gauge will actually give you a floaty fabric that isn't going to get too bent out of shape, which is actually something, when you're going to push that tension out, will actually help, and it will give you a really lovely dreamy fabric, which I think in Nuala would be amazing. And the lace work along the shoulder, not that this picture is particularly flash, but the lace work along the shoulder there we go, it's a very large open lace work panel, so it's going to be made a little bit more diffuse by the brush, but not so much that you're going to lose the impact of it. So those are three different options that you could do in one pattern with different fibres that will actually suit your sort of time of year and your mood. So if you've already got Nuala in your libraries, which I know many of you do, you may want to dust that one out and give it another go. Just as I dusted Nanook off with the Kelly & Co. Had that in my library for the best part of 10 years, 9 years I think it was, and it was perfect in that. So, you know, don't be afraid to have a bit of a time warp. Jump into your queue or jump into your pattern library and see what you've got hiding around in there, because often you would have bought something for a specific yarn in mind, knitted it in that yarn, but actually if you play around a little bit and do some swatching, have a little bit of fun, think a little bit outside of the box, you will actually find that you can create and transform that pattern into something quite amazing with a different yarn substitution. So that is definitely worth considering. So that's Nuala. So that's the first one I wanted to talk about. The second one I wanted to talk about is, I'm going to pop this up on screen. The second one I wanted to talk about was this one here, and this is Hearn by Kate Davies. Literally just dropped, I think she just dropped it over the weekend, and it is, there we go, let's jump on here so you can all see it. There we go, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? This beautiful yoked cardigan with this lovely sort of barley type motif across the yoke. Absolutely gorgeous. And as soon as I saw that, I mean, look at that, right? As soon as I saw that, you ready for this? I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, stop it. I know, right? DK. It's written for a DK. Could not believe it. It is utterly glorious. And it's got all the sort of elements that I love. I mean, it's got that lovely yoke, easy fit, really good solid button band all the way through. As you can see, can be worn done up, or you could actually wear it open and loose. It is just, it's a really, really pretty cardigan, really pretty cardigan. So I dived into it. Now, It is a little bit more difficult in the sense than most, because it's not just your standard yoke construction worked flat. What Kate has gone and done is she's charted that yoke pattern across the middle, which actually, having a look at the chart, it's fairly, even someone as lazy as me, it is actually fairly straightforward. And it is one of those sorts of charts that is really, it's written the entire way left to right, because it's actually knitted in the round, and you just do it as a tube as you go up. Now, to be honest with you, that's a really good way to go, because it means that when it comes to doing the decreases with the traveling stitches that she has, so we're talking these traveling stitches here, when it comes to doing those decreases, doing them always on a knit side row, or if they're done every single row, which means that you're always on a right side facing row, it means that you're doing the same technique to get those traveling stitches. So then they actually travel and look really continuous and smooth. Funnily enough, with the way the tensioning and how you hold yarn from right side to wrong side for knitting and purling can actually create that they can sometimes not look as smooth, and they can look a little bit wiggly piggly. So she's gotten around this by working this in the round. So for a lot of us, that's actually no great hardship. Now, this is where I want to challenge everybody, and this is why I brought this up as a summer knitting project. So she's been great. She's talked about 4mm as a base point for your yarn. She's given us a gauge of 22 stitches, which is standard on a 4mm in a DK yarn. But the way she's written this in terms in her notes is needle to get gauge, because she completely understands that some people need a 3.75, other people need a 4.5, depending on what floats your boat. So it's the yarn that she's used is very, I mean, it's almost a dead ringer for what we're doing here with Flight Naturals. So it's so perfect. And even our Kokako colorway is identical. So we're utterly delighted in that. But here's the pattern notes. And before you go running off to the hills and you want to chase me with scissors, because you will need those scissors, this is a steeked cardigan. In this cardigan, if you have never steeked before, this cardigan will be a perfect first steeked cardigan, particularly if you're looking at using a yarn like Flight Naturals, because it's got a nice little grip around it, or if you've got some Southlander DK that you bought earlier in the month on Spotlight, Southlander DK, or even actually, to be honest, you could do a 22 stitch tension Southlander Sport. Southlander Sport, like I knit it with a 3.75mm needle to a 24 stitch tension, move my sizing up, would work really well if you want a lighter weight cardigan. This is a perfect pattern for your first steeked pattern. Honestly, people, your first steeked pattern is great. And the reason why it's so good is it's all in a single color. And when you go to steek it, it's very clear, like a roadmap. You'll be able to see where you're going, and you're not having to worry about all those little color work pesky ends with stranded color work that you have to deal with when you're running a steek if you're doing a color work steek. Single color steeks are so much easier. The first time I did it, I literally shit my trousers. I had never been so scared in my entire life. Honestly, I hadn't. I couldn't believe it. Then once I actually did it and realized how freaking easy it was, I was like, oh, was that it? There are so many different options that you can do. There's some fantastic tutorials. I personally, and I think it will work on this project, I like the crochet steek technique. I think will work beautifully with this, which is where Michelle's just saying she held her breath. Oh my God, so did I, Michelle. I started shaking. It was dreadful. It was so bad. I know. There's a whole bunch of different ones. There's a Norwegian steeking, and there's a number of Scandinavian steek techniques. This crochet steek technique is one of the easiest, which is where you actually crochet and close to your border, you actually crochet up a series, like a chain, sort of a border almost, and either side. It's almost like a fence, a crocheted fence barrier, either side up on the inside, and then you hit it with your scissors, and it just means that it will naturally roll back onto that. Your stitches won't go anywhere, and it also, because this has got a picked up button band, it will give you a place to pick up from, and you can actually pick your stitches up. Now, I haven't actually dived in and read the instructions too deeply on this pattern yet of what Kate recommends, but I'm picking that she will say whatever method floats your boat. I can almost guarantee the crochet stick will work beautifully with this. So I know you're all sitting there at home now going, some days I really don't like her. I don't know why she does this to us. Honestly, this is the perfect time. If you're going to have a go at something like this that's super challenging for you, you think it's going to be, because this is what I would do, this is the time when you actually can do a bit of knitting or potentially have a bit of peace at home, and it's not all crazy nuts rah-rah of your everyday, like if you're having a break. This is the time to do something a little bit, throw caution to the wind a wee bit and do something fun like that. Honestly, I think it would be, it would be fun. Right, we've got a question up in here. Hi, Abby. Quick question about blocking a hat. Made in Calling clothes. Scroll work. Oh, lovely. I want to make the cables look less average, bless, but not sure whether or not to wet versus steam block. Okay, when it comes to a hat, Abby, I have to say I'm a wet blocking fan. Depending, let's have a quick look at depending on the style of hat. If it's a beret style of hat, I wet block and do that over a little bread plate. So it's a flat style of hat. If it's a sort of I don't know the pattern, but if it's more of a crown natural styled hat, then you can do that over a balloon. I find a balloon block works absolute wonders. The trick I will say to you, Abby, with this is do your wet block. Be very, very gentle with it when you take it out, and make sure that you gently squeeze out, not wring, but just gently squeeze out all the water, then pop it in a towel and then roll that out and actually get as much excess moisture out of that yarn as you can before you pop it over whatever you're using to set your shape for the block, whether it be bread plate or balloon. And just with your balloon, if it is a balloon, the other trick with that is don't blow that sucker up too much, because what you think to yourself is that, okay, I'm going to do balloon block it, and you blow the balloon up and you sort of do the balloon to the size of your noggin. You actually don't want to do that. The balloon I blow up is like, seriously, is about that sort of size. If you've got a hat block, our hat blockers in the room. If you've got a hat blocker, you may actually, some people have the polystyrene hat heads that you use for display, or I've got actually an old-fashioned wooden hat blocker for making felted hats. You can use one of those, obviously, but a balloon works really well. And and when you look at those felted hat blockers, and you will notice that they're actually not the size of a head, they're a bit smaller, because you want to actually have the hat have a little bit of stretch and give when it goes on there, because you don't want it too big, block it too big, or it just slide around and come off. If it's a wet block, that should settle your cable, like relax your cables out quite nicely. But the key is to make sure you very gently squeeze as much excess moisture out as you can, and you do not wring it, because this is a woolen spun yarn, and it will, when it's wet, it is woolen spun, so it can be a little wetter, so you have to be very gentle with it while it's wet, and then just gently place it on its balloon or its plate, and just let it out of the shade, out of the sun rather, and just let it just naturally air dry. And if it's on a balloon, it usually takes about 24 hours. It doesn't take too long at all. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Very good. Oh, everyone is here this morning. This is so exciting. So exciting. Jolene was asking, what are the sizes like in the Hearn? It actually pretty good, Del. I think with ease they went up to 62 inches. So it's us size, mate. It's really exciting. Sandwich steeking and the button band is amazing. Yeah, it is. I have to admit, I like, for me, and she's written the steek into the pattern. I did quickly check that. She's got the markers, and so it's all there. And I have to admit, it does. It's like a safety net. It just makes you feel a little bit safe. Oh, I love it. Margaret just said, "Am I nuts?" Piece. Where is this piece that you're looking for? I know, Margaret. You know, actually, I'm going to go a little bit off kilter here for a minute. I so know, and I mean, it's hard at the moment, especially at the moment. I was talking. So our lovely Claire, it was her birthday over the weekend. In fact, I think it was Friday. So she, her and the fam snuck up to Lake Waikaremoana for the weekend, and they had a wonderful weekend. They were the only people there, and just her and the family, and there's no cell phone reception there. And I said to her, oh, she said it was amazing. She said, best thing ever, because you don't check it, you don't look at it, no one can ring you. And she said it was just so wonderful to completely unplug. And she's back at work today, like she just feels totally refreshed for having that complete unplugging. And I have to say that is one of the things that I do over the summer. Many of you who've known me for a number of years know that I do have a tendency to sort of go a bit AWOL for a series of weeks over the summer period, sometimes at home, sometimes further afield. At home, obviously, this year with these times, but it is really, really important to actually get that unplugged time, and it's hard to do. Like, I know for me, it takes me a good week to actually train myself out of checking the phone, making sure everything's okay here, not checking the social media. I have to learn to trust. So at that time, I have to learn to trust that actually things like, for example, on social media and the speakeasy, it's why I love you guys so much. There is very little time that I have to worry about too much going pear-shaped in there, because you guys do respect each other and look after each other. And then if there is something that gets slightly wobbly, you tend to work, you're grown-ups and you work it out yourself. And that's actually really comforting for all of the team here, because there's only a few of us that do the adminning over that and look after that. So it is really important to actually switch those things off. Do you know I've stopped watching 6 o'clock news and morning news? Don't do any of it now. None. Stopped doing it several months ago. And I tell you what, for the noodle, best thing ever. And I did worry, I worried, I'm going to be missing out. And then I thought, well, actually, no, because the most important stuff gets through. And I suddenly thought, there's a lot of fear out there, really genuine fear, and people have been made to be fearful. And I think at this time of year, actually, we've got a lot to be joyful about and thankful and grateful. So taking a leaf out of the American Thanksgiving book from last week, actually, I think heading into the summer period, as Ethan often says, we need to be kind to ourselves and actually sort of go, no, actually, we're going to look after this and be happy and enjoy and carve out time for the things that we love and we like to do. And thank you very much, you said, Sue, for saying you love my dress. I put this on especially today. I love this dress too. I felt very, very summery. Don't look at the bottom, because it was ironed when it went into the wardrobe, but it hasn't been pulled out for most of the year, and it probably could have done with another iron. I don't care. Doesn't matter. So if you're looking across the summer, do try and carve some time out, even if it's just for a day. Put the computer, the tablet, and the cell phone away, turn the tally off, get a glass of ice water or lemonade, park yourself under a tree somewhere, and have some quiet me time. Put a book on, just unplug. And I think this summer, that is something that we're going to have to do, because there's always going to be something to grab our attention, and I think it's really good to actually unplug. But don't unplug on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because that's when Stitchin Summer's going to be. But you know what? At the end of the world, if you miss out on that too, there's always going to be another Stitchin Summer, and we're not going anywhere. But it is really, really good to unplug. Anyway, off on a tangent. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, I'm back. Let's keep going down through here. Oh, actually, Barbara's just saying too, for blocking of beanies, stand a large jar or coffee cup. Yes, for the balloon blocking. Great. Awesome. Oh, Annie, listening while anchored below a phone tower at Station Bay. You're obviously still on your boat, Annie. Annie's great. I see. Be Annie. Annie's on your boat. It's so good. Yeah, Patricia, haven't watched the news in years. Honestly, I mean, I don't know. I know many of you do know this, but a lot of you probably don't. I worked in radio media for a number of years, so hence why talking to myself comes quite naturally. I have done it for a long time. Used to do it for a living, and I have been quite stunned, actually, having been someone that has worked in the machine, and a lot of people that I worked with are still there working in the environment currently. And I'll be quite frank with you, part of the reason I've switched off is I am so appalled at what gets put out there today, and stories that get run today, and how it gets run, and how it gets pushed through social media, the content of what's in there. Seriously, I would have got fired for back in the day when I worked in that environment. So it just shows you how the standards have dropped to a level where it's actually less about informing people and more about creating an environment where all they want you to do is click and engage or buy or subscribe in order to run a business model, as opposed to providing you with the information that you need to know. And sometimes it's really difficult to put a sieve through everything, which is why actually checking out, even just for a day or two, I think is actually really good for your mental health, because I look at it now and I think, wow, okay, that's where we've gone. So that's why I get a bit grumpy about that, because it's a place, particularly media, because it's a place that I know and I loved and I was passionate about for a really long time. So there you go. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't have. Barbara's just saying that her TV died several weeks ago, so no TV, just local radio and news. Yeah, you know what? And Barbara, that's local. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I know Barbara lives in the Bay of Plenty, beautiful community, and I think that's one of the things that I love as well, is actually pulling things back to just within your community and within whether it be, because even finding local radio now is really tough. Everything is networked out outside of a short period of time. So it's actually pulling everything back to that group of people around you is sometimes a really healthy thing to do. So yeah, absolutely dead right. Okay, sorry, I've been a bit tangential this morning. One last thing before I go. Of the things that, because these arrived, would you believe, in the madness during Black Friday, and we never got a chance to put these up. These are first three, but the rest are coming. They arrived early. So Chatswood was on the board, Miss Ford, for delivery starting next week. But the first three colours turned up on Friday. So there they are. So we've got Somerset, Brighton and Dorset. I haven't even checked to see if they're on the web. If they aren't, we'll get them on the web. So they're back. Sheffield, we know, is running through all the colours. We are looking at getting Chatswood back completely, which I'm really excited about. Chatswood is a great yarn too if you wanted to do the Hearn. So if you didn't fancy doing it in Flight Naturals, you could definitely do it in Chatswood, no problem. So I was really excited about that. So that's just come back in. And as I said, Stitchin Summer kicks off fully this Thursday. So the first special will be on Thursday. So that means one day only. It'll either be a collection of yarns, or it could even be just a single yarn. Have I just got a single yarn? No, they're all little collections actually. Claire and I have been really organised. We've, mind you, it changes. Last year, I think a third of them got shifted around during the 2 months, but we have mapped out the full promotions for December and January. So what that means for those who are new to Stitchin Summer, the regulars will know this, but for those who are new, we pop out a newsletter in store and online. There is a special on a certain thing. So the first thing that we're doing, the first thing is not currently online and not currently in store. It has been something we've done before, but we haven't done it for actually a wee while. And we actually spun, you guys loved it when we had it last time. We've spun some more up and it's going out on Stitchin Summer. So that is what's going to start. So that's going to kick us off on Thursday. So every Thursday and every Tuesday, you'll get a newsletter, as well as you may even get a Monday one from me as well. But the Stitchin Summer newsletters will come both those days with what that special is for the day. and you've got the day to purchase it at that special price, and they basically last for as long as we have stocks, and once they go. So really exciting. We love Stitchin Summer. It's loads of fun. So we've got all sorts this year for Stitching Summer, and again, it depends if we have things come in or arrive unexpectedly, which around here is more often than not. That's why we often change things out, because we'll think, actually we're going to do that instead for Stitchin Summer, because you guys will love it, and we'll throw it on. So just make sure that you are subscribed to that newsletter. The subscribe button is on the front of the homepage, or check your spam filters and make sure that info@skeinz.com is in your letterbox, because that your address book, because that will help it make sure that you get the emails from us. So there you go. I'm really excited about Stitchin Summer. I've been making tiles for most of last week, all the graphics and doing all of that. So it's heaps of fun. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that, as I said, runs all the way through to the end of January. Christmas, just actually, I know I said the C word. I know, but I'm sitting here in the Christmas shop, so it's all fine. We are still just open weekdays 10 till 2, and Christmas, I have to admit, is the gift of stat days. So it works out beautifully that Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday are the stat days over Christmas and New Year, but we are going to be open those 3 days in between. So if you're down here from visiting from elsewhere, you'll be able to do that. And the other thing I can let you know as well, from the COVID protection framework point of view, the beautiful thing about honestly having the biggest square footage of a yarn store anywhere, which is what we have here, it means that we can just maintain all our existing COVID protocols, and anybody can come and see us at any time that we're open, and we'd love to see you. So that's also great news as well. So it is all just positive here today and this week. So good. And there we go, the yarn kitchen. Oh bless. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle's been so good and put links up for me. All right, I'm going to stop talking, because I'm going to go back and finish off the newsletter and get you that detail out about that pattern from Kate Davies, and make sure that everyone is tickety-boo for the rest of the week. Oh, and lastly, last but not least, today is our Kirsty's last day. She's been with us for good 18 months. Oh, actually no, she's pretty much been with us, actually more than that, since we've pretty much opened our doors here. So she's going off with a new adventure professionally with her husband, and we're really excited for her, and we love her to pieces. So we can't wish her well enough for her next journey off with lovely Nathan and the puppies. So that's very exciting. We're staying in the Bay, but she is helping his growing business. So that is wonderful news for them. So if you are in the Bay or around Skeinz today, if you pop in before 2, do say a fond farewell to our Kirsty. All right, until then, I will see you guys on Thursday with Ethan. See you then. Bye.